while, but I'm back.
Jeez.
And you know, I had to take trains, all this stuff about mind the gap, the train's delayed, and if I hear that someone saying, see it, say it, sort it, one more time, my head is just going to explode. So so anyway, quite a bit of a hassle to get here, but it's worth it.
We got MistaRax TV.
I want to talk about Me Too. You know, there's all this fuss about Me Too, and these femmes are creating all this kind of hassle and trouble, and you know, we need a solution for it, because this really comes down to consent. You know, we need to work out about consent, because if a feminist makes some allegation, you know, Me Too type allegation, 20 years after the event, you've got no proof that consent has been established.
When you say Me Too, what are you talking about? All these rape allegations?
Yeah, exactly. So what we need to have is men need to charge for sex, okay? Yeah, men need to charge for sex.
What do you mean?
And the question is, how much should men charge? Well, the point is, if you charge like £1,000 for sex, right, you've got proof that there was consent, because she wouldn't pay you the money unless it was consent.
Well, listen, I'm a Muslim, I'm not promoting that.
Well, I am. So anyway, here's the deal.
Extra marriage, like outside marriage.
Well, I mean, we are where we are. We're in a hash Me Too situation, and you need to prove consent. So I'm saying, you know, she says
she would never went near the women.
Yeah, I know. So you're talking about marriage and all that sort of stuff, which was in our Christian religion. Yeah. That's all been done away with. Yeah, and who has that been done away with? It's been done away with by the evil family courts, the evil judges. Why? Because they make money out of it. So it's all about money. So let's turn it into money. Let's turn every single transaction into money, and we can prove, you know, we've got the money, £1,000 I was paid, and it'll all be done by contactless cards. You know, so you go beep, you know, contactless. So
you talking about them kind of chips they're gonna put in us and all that shit, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, you know, it is all going contactless, and we need proof. And you know, once you show that this woman's paid £1,000, because women will now pay £50,000 for IVF. You know, you'll get two lesbians living together. Yeah, and they'll pay £50,000. It's really expensive. So why not?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What area are you from?
What area am I from? Well, I'm from all over the place.
No, but like, for example, like...
Oh, where do I live? Yeah, north of... No, I'm just, you know... Yeah, and the stabbings, you know, and the stabbings. So, I mean, all of this problem with the stabbings and the knife attacks, you know, what they never talk about is the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is fatherless families.
Yeah.
Because everyone says, oh, we need more police.
That, you know.
We need more police officers on the street, blah, blah, blah. Well, how about this idea? How about this idea? In every single home, you put a man, an authority figure, someone who's a good role model, and looks after the kids. And blimey, you could, and how about the fact that we don't pay them any money? How about the fact that the state does it, you know, these guys go into the home for free.
Voluntary.
And yeah, voluntary. And by the way, you could even call them a father, you know.
Even if you don't call him a father, maybe like a godfather, you know, like whatever,
Exactly. I mean, you know, the schools, our schools are becoming such feminist zones. I don't know if you saw it the other day, but there was a YouTube of this guy, and he was on his bike, picking his stepson up from school, and the bloody teachers got on his back because he was wearing a scarf around his neck, you know, black scarf around the neck. So they said, you're frightening the children. Well, this is just bollocks. I know, it was cold day. It's like you're cold, you know. I'm cold,
but you're not frightened of me. Yeah.
No, exactly. And you know,
you see, look, right now, I could be like deemed as I'm frightening, but to him, he knows I'm not frightening.
Oh, you're a hoodie.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just common sense.
We got MistaRax TV, but fuck, back out.
Exactly. It's
back out. You get me?
I'm a man. I use my common sense. But if you're a feminist female head teacher, then you'll say to this guy, "You're frightening the children. You know, you're wearing a mask, and how dare you? You know." But the thing was, she got the police on this guy's back. And the policeman was saying to this guy, he was just some guy on his bike picking his stepson up from school. The police guy said, "You're on the cusp of being arrested. You're on the cusp." All he was doing was wearing a mask around his face because he was cold. And this is an example of the feminism in our schools, the anti-male environment that's driving men away from schools. So primary schools now are men-free zones. There's hardly any men in a primary school. There might be the janitor.
I've got to disagree. In my kids' school, there's a lot of men.
Yeah? Is that because it's a religious school?
No.
Okay.
State-run school.
Okay, is it primary or secondary?
Primary.
Okay. But on average, I'm talking about on average,
I would say
in
there's
primary
probably like
schools,
7 teachers women and probably 3 out of 10 like all women.
well, that's pretty unusual. I mean, 30% to be male teachers, very unusual.
It's not bad,
you know,
it's
pretty good. I would say in primary schools, men have been driven away from primary schools completely. There might be the odd headmaster, there might be the odd toilet cleaner who's a man, but that's it. And the same thing is happening in our secondary schools, where men are being driven away from secondary schools. So the teachers, or the head teachers, whenever they need to impose some discipline, they're desperate for a male authority figure. So they grab the police, they say, "Oh, this bloke, he won't remove his mask, you know, he's frightening the children." And so they grab the police, and the police guy goes in and threatens to arrest the guy just because he's wearing a mask. He's come to pick up his stepson. The school knows exactly who he is because they know he's got a stepson, and they're threatening him with arrest. And this is the kind of anti-male environment we're now finding ourselves in our secondary schools. So, sure, yeah, please do.
Why do you see that example as a problem related to gender, feminism, and not something about just being overly cautious or overly interested in security?
Okay. Great
like
question.
Say if you'd gone into a bank or into an airport, just like that, similar thing may have happened.
Yeah, great question. The guy said that isn't this just an example of someone being cautious, and it's not an anti-male experience, but it's just an example of someone being cautious? And I would say, in general, no, because if you had a male authority figure, they would just use their common sense. I mean, hysteria is, you know, that means the womb. The word hysteria is definitely associated with the female gender. You know, so when feminists get into positions of power, like for example Theresa May or the Queen or my local MP or something, when they make decisions, they'll just go off the deep end. You know, they just get very hysterical. So for example, if you get a female officer, she's suddenly appointed to be overseeing Speaker's Corner, for example. She'll suddenly make this random decision that people are speaking at Speaker's Corner are no longer to stand on a stand. We have to get down. She's evoking a law which does exist, where a speaker, if they're next to another speaker and they're causing trouble, they can be asked to get down from their stand. But no one who's been coming to Speaker's Corner for the last 100 years would dream of coming along with the police and saying, "You've got to get down from your stand." But as soon as we get a feminist in charge, they do, because they just take the law and they just kind of, you know, they're a bit hysterical and they overreact. What about, for example, Cressida Dick? So, of course, what we see now is feminists being over-promoted. So Cressida Dick was in charge of the operation that shot the innocent Brazilian. You know, on the London tube, we had a Brazilian electrician, totally innocent. He was just on the tube, and they had a problem identifying him. They lost radio communication with the guys with the guns in the tube, with the police in the tube. And it was the biggest mistake ever, and they shot an innocent Brazilian. That was Cressida Dick that did that. And so what happens when a feminist makes a really outrageous mistake? Well, in this country, they're promoted. In this country, feminists are promoted, even though they make massive mistakes. I'll give you another example. Theresa May, with her immigration, she promised to bring down inward migration to below 10,000 when she was in the Home Office. She promised, that was a Conservative manifesto. We will bring down inward migration down to below 10,000. And then she totally failed to achieve it. What happened? We made a Prime Minister. So this is an example of feminists being way over promoted beyond their abilities. Okay? feminists are over, so yeah.
These are not necessarily anything related to the gender of the people. They're just general issues that happen when someone's in a position of power.
Yeah.
That people are put in power who may be incompetent or who may be tend to abuse their power.
Yeah.
So why is it any different when it's someone like Theresa May, or when it's someone who's incompetent like George Bush, or like Trump, or like any of the other male leaders?
You know what, sir? I kind of agree with you on that. You know, that so basically what you're suggesting is that people who are put into positions of power, you know, maybe they're a little bit malicious. And I'll tell you another story where I kind of agree with you on this. So in Cambridge, there was a homeless man, and he approached this guy who was just walking home at night, who was a student. He happened to be a law student, actually, and he approached him for help or money or whatever. The guy, the law student, got out, this is Cambridge University, he got out a £20 note, and he set it on fire in front of the homeless guy. And this provoked outrage. It provoked outrage in Cambridge, it provoked nationwide outrage. But the thing is, with this law student, he's not being given his position as a law student at one of our best universities because he's a nice guy, because he's empathetic. In fact, he could be a sociopath or a psychopath. He could be a really nasty guy. He's been chosen because he's clever at his job. And in fact, you find that people in high positions in our country have serious psychopath or sociopath issues. And for example, I give you Tony Blair, who blew the arms and legs off innocent Iraqi children. Now, is it fair to say that Tony Blair could be a psychopath? Many people think so. There's an Irish journalist who's been following him around for years, trying to arrest him, citizen's arrest, and they want him put up before, you know, The Hague.